Hello and welcome to Got Clutter, Get Organized, the conversation. I'm excited because, of course, it's May. May is all about the mothers. That's what I like to do the entire month, not just a day, really, actually, the entire year. But anyway, it's a month. And I'm excited because Karen Taylor is here and we're going to talk about wellness because that's sometimes something as mothers, as women, as caregivers, we always put at the bottom of the list. So, Karen, welcome. I'm so excited for you to return here.
Hey now, welcome for having me. Thank you for having me. So excited. Love you, Janet, and how you spotlight so many amazing experts, but real people that we can relate to. So I'm hoping today I can shine some real nuggets that people can take with them in their toolbox.
And you always do. But before we get to that, Karen, what made you decide to really focus on wellness? I mean, you've been in the business for years, but really now you like honing in on the wellness, corporate wellness, and just wellness all over.
Great question. I think I know for certain that wellness has been part of my healing as a mother, as a woman, as a daughter, as a sister, as a friend, as a corporate executive. But also, wellness is what saved my life 17 years ago when I had my child at 40 and I went into distress after giving birth and hemorrhage. And if I didn't advocate for myself and be in that right mind, I definitely would not be here. So I'm one of those lucky or not lucky, blessed folks who made it on the other side, right? Life. And so when that happened to me, I promised God that I would honestly focus and give him the glory for saving my life and helping me understand what I needed to do to become a better person. Not that I was a bad person, but just like a lot of people, we don't take care of ourselves. We put our needs last. Everybody else is important. But in order for you to be the best version of yourself, it does require self-care and selfishness for preservation. And people talk about act like selfishness is bad. No, it's not bad. What selfish is, or maybe what's the word I'm looking for? And selfish is such a bad connotation, but you've got to be able to say to yourself, I matter first. And what that means is me saying, PR, I love, it's my first love. I will always be a publicist, a strategist, but it didn't make me well. It had me on a treadmill. It had me working with ungrateful clients or artists or talent. And that takes a toll, right? So in order for me to honor my first love as a media strategist, I had to be well. And then I discovered yoga. I know this is a long answer, but once I got into the rhythm of seeing how it helped me over a period of time, I wanted to spend more time in that discipline because it made me love me again.
Mm. Mm. So, with that, Karen, what really happens to us as women when we don't do that self care, when we don't put ourselves on the top of the list, and when we aren't, like what you said, really kind of more focused on us and not focused on everybody else? What are some of the things? Because you mentioned one of the things that happened to you, but really, what do you see in your work?
In my work, I feel the fact that, especially as we age, we are aged out. There's no messaging to encourage us other than a messaging of what you lack and how you can purchase something or do something to amplify that, wrinkle, that blemish, that body changing, that pouch in your body, that mommy pouch, or just getting older and being sedentary. So our mindset shifts, first of all, as we age, right? Now we see things that tell us what we're not. And then we begin to buy into that because as I learn, as a yoga instructor, as a wellness trainer, having over 500 hours doing this work and working on myself, I realized that what the brain takes in, it tells the body to receive it. And so if you're constantly getting messaging from outside, from influencers, from social media of everything you're not, then you
Mm.
begin to think that and your body shows up with a deficit. A deficit, now you're not eating well because you are trying to eat food that you feel are going to snatch your waist or do other things, right, to your body, or take a magic potion to instantly get to this size, right? I'm not talking about anybody who's doing it. Know what you're doing and read the directions and be prepared for the outcome. That's what I say as a wellness trainer, Karen. So don't come for me. I'm telling you what I see. Second thing is, so that's the mind. We get lazy as we get older because we have been inundated with so many different things we've had to tackle. We got to fight every day, right? And I'm not just talking about women of color. I'm talking about women, period. And then you go down the line to macroaggression and then microaggression as women with melanated skin. It gets complicated for us. So you're in the throes of it every day. You ain't got no time to be talking about, I'm going to pre-prep a meal. Let's get real. You want to hide in a closet and cry. So
Yeah.
that's number 2, right? Constantly fighting, not being reassured and supported by people who say they're our friends or family. We always have to prove ourselves to people. So that means we have less time to do things for the stuff that we really need to do to nourish our souls. So, and then what happens? Back pains, stomach issues, anxiety, tremors, feeling less than, being in relationships that are unsupported. And then it goes all the way down to fiscal issues. That's what I see daily. Do
Mm.
I have a magic answer? I don't. Because you deal with it, I deal with it. We all are dealing with something. Nobody comes to this world perfect. Thank God, right? We are a work in progress. But what I
Mm-hmm.
can tell you for certain that I see and that I apply with my clients and use is breath. It's the only gift that we can summon at a moment's notice and say, let me count to 10 before I do something I don't want to do or say something. Breath. Breath is what separates you from the non-living. So if you don't fire up that breath, you spiral. You spiral.
Mm. Yeah, I like that, Karen. Because, it's interesting you say the breath because when I do workshops, I always tell people we are constantly just going, like you said, constantly going. And I said, when you get that next project, before
Mm,
you start, just breathe.
mm,
Just be grateful that you finished one thing, you cross it off your list before you start rolling up your sleeves and, taking on another major project. And I
yes.
said, sometimes we just need that moment, just like I did it
Slow and celebrate it.
and celebrate
Celebrate
it.
the win.
Yeah. And
Small,
that's a,
big, medium. Be like,
mm-hmm,
celebrate it, right?
yes.
Chill in that.
Mm-hmm,
Because guess
mm-hmm,
what? We're so busy. And this, I was guilty of this when I just working in corporate. On to the next, to prove
mm-hmm,
myself, to better
mm-hmm,
myself.
mm-hmm.
Because when you are, whatever you do in life, you're only as good as the last thing you've done.
That's true.
So you never get a chance to stay in that moment. But what happens when you don't stay in the moment is you miss the moment. And then you don't have resilience when that situation appears again. You don't know how to pivot because you didn't take time to say, oh, girl, I sat on the couch and I was like, I am that person. I did it. I scored this or whatever. How do you know what the win feels like if you don't stay in the win?
And that's true. That's true. And I'm really learning how to do that, Karen, because as you know, when we go on site and we do these on site, on person things, it takes a lot
A
out
lot.
of us. And I'm learning, you know what? I'm taking time after this. I'm
Girl,
taking to give my body a rest, give my
girl.
mind a rest because you got to go through the prep. It's,
But what just happened? We were on site in March,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and you remember what I told you, right? I was like, girl, I'm taking the next 2 days off.
That's true.
Did it make sense? Probably not.
Probably
But
not. But
holistically,
yeah.
I had to.
Yeah. And you
Because
have to.
as trainers, we're giving, giving, right? And that's our job. And we love it. We love it. But at the same time, you've got to pour back into you. And that's that self-care preservation. So
Mm-hmm.
celebrate. Yeah, we were on site. We spoke to
Yeah.
X amount of people, maybe over
Yeah.
100 people that day. We
Mhm,
touched a life or lives.
mhm.
I was clear that Tuesday
Yes.
I'm gonna be on the couch watching The View.
And
Was
that was
not
so true.
there.
And that was true. That was true because and I don't think sometimes people understand. You're like, oh, you're just standing up to know. It takes everything in us to deliver. It was all day. We traveled together, which was really fun. So I hope we have an opportunity to do that.
Oh my God, we
Yeah,
had a ball. We
we had a
cracked
ball.
up. That's
Yes.
another thing about wellness, right? Joy.
Mm-hmm.
Even when stuff is rough or challenging, laugh. Because some of the crap that happened that day, I literally had to laugh. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
To laugh at myself because, first of
Mm-hmm.
all, I don't know what possessed me to get a blowout on a rainy day. So I looked crazy and still was talking
Beautiful.
about wellness. But you know what? I owned it.
Yeah.
I did it. And I was like, never again. I had to learn from the moment, but we
Yep.
cracked up.
Yep.
We
Me too.
were laughing.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's because we were together because we had to get it. We had to catch the 6 o'clock train. It was a good day. It was because
A
I really,
great day.
it was yes, it was. So Karen, and you already shared a few strategies for women, their
Yeah.
mothers, caregivers, aunts, godmothers. They just doing everything.
Yes.
What are some? You already talked about the breath. Are there any other things that they can do just to really just
Absolutely. So here's
like a woman?
my top list.
Okay.
In the morning, set yourself with a routine because that's going to train your brain right away to know to expect this to release whenever. So for me, when I get out of bed, first thing, get on my knees, I give thanks, I write in my journal, and then right now I'm on a challenge. So I started for Lent. So I'm on day 44 of a 1 minute plank. And the reason why I did the 1 minute plank, I was thinking, what can I do to foster my mental wellness, my brain, my abs, my trim my waistline at the same time, strengthen my core because as we get older and we're women, that's where we lose our balance, we lose mobility. You read about people falling and things happen. So I made a commitment that I was going to do a 1 minute plank for Lent. So that got me to like day 22. I was like, my God, this feels really good. So now I'm at day 40 plus, right? So find something that you can stick with. And even if you stop in the midstream, pick it back up. Pick it back up. Give yourself grace, right? Also, identify what you're eating. Like what you're eating, is it working with you? I'm not saying go vegan, vegetarian. I'm saying get a food journal. And every time you feel wonky, write it down because that creates a routine in the brain. So the brain begins to give you alert like, oh, don't have that, right? Triggers.
Mhm.
Triggers. What we eat, our gut health, all triggers. So know what you're eating. Get your sleep. Surround yourself with people who see you, love you, and are going to support you, especially if you're giving that to them,
Mhm.
right? No vampires in your life. How they show up. They show up real crafty. They could do everything. They have a solution, but they are waiting for you. So know those vampires. As women, we are very trusting, or as people, we are very trusting. That doesn't mean everybody earns your trust,
True.
especially as you get older, right? So be discerning with what you're saying, doing, and receiving because
Mhm.
somebody's energy will impact your energy
Mhm.
and your household. So be clear on that. This is the big takeaway. Movement. If you work from home, yay, yay. If you don't, yay, yay. But you need to move. Every 30 minutes, my rule of thumb is get up and move. Go downstairs, go outside, do something, curate a playlist,
Yeah.
whatever kind of music you like. Put that on your playlist. That's going to bring you joy, but that's going to make you move those bodies, that body, right? So movement is healing. Movement is healing. Movement requires breath.
Mm.
That's healing. And
Mm.
then get some good loving. Like, seriously. And that loving starts with you. Are you hugging yourself? Are you affirming yourself? Do you see yourself? Or are you waiting for somebody to tell you that you are that person?
Mm.
Okay? Because remember this, I tell you what the mind tells the body. You're only going to attract what you give off.
That's true.
So if you're giving off funk, insecurity, all those other kind of things,
Mhm.
that's what you're going to get. When
Mhm.
I say funk, I'm not talking about smell. I'm talking about who you are as a person.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
the exterior is this.
Mhm.
We all got an exterior. But the soul, the spirit, what I've learned is once that's compromised, nothing else matters. Because
Mm,
when you go, all they see is the shell. But the soul, that spirit, is what's kept you going. So take care of your soul. That's your soul care. Be selfish with that. Advocate for you. You don't have to wait for somebody to give you a shot because ain't nobody going to give you a shot. And as entrepreneur, I know that personally. And you do
mhm,
too, Janet.
mhm,
So
mhm,
give yourself
mhm.
that opportunity to
That's true.
thrive, to show up, to be the best version of you. And is
Mhm,
that easy? Hell no. Is it worth it? Oh, yeah, because you win at the end. And
mhm,
another thing you can do, don't get caught up in social media trappings, what people are posting, what you are seeing, what they are
mhm,
curating, because that gets in
mhm.
my brain, right?
Yep.
As a publicist, 99.999% of that stuff is not true. The person who is not posting that perfect life is living a great life. The
Mhm,
person that
mhm,
was posting it had to take time to configure the angle, the lighting, the this, the that.
mhm,
Be clear
mhm,
on where the messaging is coming and
mhm,
what you are taking in. That's
mhm,
what I tell my teenage daughter all the time. I'm like, check out that influencer. Like, really? Are they really doing that? Have they lost that weight really? And then we find out they had a BBL, filler, a this. You ain't even read them.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
And you want to be nice on life? Child, sit down.
That's true. That is true. That is true. So, Karen, this is a question I ask all my guests. So, how do you stay organized? Because you're a mother of a teenager. She's a teenager now, right?
Yeah, she's 16 going on 17. I have a
Yes, she's a
23,
teenager.
24-year
You got
old graduated from grad school on May
wow.
17th. Yep.
Wow. So, yes. So you're balancing all that plus the yoga, the consulting, the this and the that, the community stuff. So how do you stay organized?
It does sound like a lot because I try my best
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to honor myself.
Mm-hmm.
Some days I'm really great at it, some days I'm
Mm-hmm.
not. But I give
Mm-hmm.
myself grace at 57. I've earned it. So how do I balance? I am not balanced. No, I don't, I'm not. I'm not gonna lie to your viewers, your listeners. I'm not balanced, folks. But what I am is intentional. If something doesn't feel right, I'm not doing it. That's an opportunity, that's anything. So my balance is not being perfect. My balance is being honest to Karen and know that sometimes I have to go hard and then sometimes I got to stay in the cut.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
how I keep my sanity.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone walks into my space and automatically they shift my energy, then I don't really need to be in that space. And so I am discerning in where I spend my time, with my time, but also what I invest in,
Mm-hmm.
relationships, you name it. So I don't have balance,
Mm-hmm.
but I do have intention.
I like that, Karen. I liked it. So please tell the listeners
Mm,
about your upcoming book,
yeah,
but also yoga is what is it, International Yoga Day? Is that
yes,
my yeah?
yeah,
So tell the listeners and those watching about those two.
sure. So I have a book that I'm super, super excited coming out the end of June, and it's called From Bitter to Better: A
Mm,
Chocolate Mama's Journey to Self Discovery.
mm,
And it's really about the beauty and power of sisterhood and friendship, and how no matter what happens in our lives as we navigate challenges, losses, gains, um, and beauty, the core of who we are the people that surround us. And that's my chocolate mamas.
mm, mm.
So that's what that's about.
Okay.
And like I said, end of June, please
Mm-hmm.
check my website, Karen Taylor Bass, BASS.com. I know you'll promote it, but I'm a publicist, got to put it out there. And on June 21st is, like you said, Janet, International Yoga Day, but I do a soulful twist on it. So on that day, because girl, everything I do has got to have soul. So
That's right.
on that day, thanks
That's
to
right.
Camden County, we are offering a complimentary, because free has a negative connotation. So a complimentary flow, vinyasa flow, soulful flow, and also sound bath healing at Cooper River Park on the Vista deck from 6 to 7:30. And all we're asking, if it feels you and moves you, is a donation. And so the information will be on my website at KarenTaylorBass.com.
And of course, listeners, and of course, those of you watching, you know, I will have all of Karen's
Yes.
information in the show page so you can connect with her directly. Karen, thank you so much because you always, first of all, it's always a pleasure just to see
Oh,
you and
same
talk to
here.
you, but also just for just dropping so many wonderful strategies for women and how we can really incorporate wellness and make that a priority in our lives.
Yeah, just be kind to yourself. You know, it's never going to look like how you see it. Some days, most days, but at the end of the day, it's your day. Be intentional with your day.
Thank you, Karen.
Namaste.